bringing you the news and information you need from the people making a difference. This is Comcast Newsmakers.
Helping the economic engine without killing the goose that lays the golden egg. Hello, everyone. I'm Joe Bisicchia, and this is Comcast Newsmakers. We have with us Jon Shure, the president of the New Jersey Policy Perspective, a liberal think tank in New Jersey. And we're discussing the issue of tax incentives. At what point do we keep luring businesses here? Good to see you.
Good to be here.
Jon, you want to see businesses coming to New Jersey. The numbers on the other end of those leaving New Jersey, not good. How do we reverse that?
Well, it's interesting because, I think most people realize the state budget that came out this year cut spending by something like $600 million, but it actually increased spending on tax breaks for businesses, which I would argue is kind of a short-sighted way to build an economy in New Jersey. I don't think you can make this a prosperous state by writing checks to businesses. I think you've got to invest in things like higher education and transportation that will be here long after companies change their minds.
We all live on certain kind of branding, but as you say this, the other side is thinking, here's Jon Shure in a policy perspective. He's talking raising taxes instead of cutting taxes. You're the tax man.
Well, right now I'm thinking about the taxpayer, and I'm trying to make sure that people get the best possible deal. Let me give you an example that we wrote about in a recent report. You got a major pharmaceutical company that says to New Jersey, if you don't give us tax incentives, we won't move here from Seattle. We found out that 3 weeks before they did that, there was an article in the paper in Seattle saying they've already told their employees they're moving to New Jersey. So clearly we don't have to offer these things to get people to come here.
Well, how smart is a business trying to start up and make a start to try to at least do everything it can to settle good roots in an area? And that will have much of a windfall for a state, won't it?
Well, what we're starting to have is this. We're starting to have businesses getting good at playing states off against each other, to where our elected officials in New Jersey and Pennsylvania and New York have got to start wondering if they're being played for suckers a little bit. When you go to a state and say, we're not going to come unless you give us, and then you find out they already decided they're going to come here. We're working with organizations in New York, Pennsylvania, and Connecticut to see if we can't come up with a regional policy statement that says we have to end this war between the states because it's not productive. So a job moves from New Jersey to Pennsylvania or New York to New Jersey. There's no net gain for the region whatsoever, and the taxpayers are paying huge amounts of money to these companies. It's not a very productive way to build an economy.
Are you seeing when some of the incentives, so to speak, end, they're out of Dodge?
Sometimes even before then. That's the thing. Another thing that we found out about pharmaceutical companies, they lay people off when their patents expire because their business goes down. It's part of market forces. Understandable. Maybe the state, when somebody's seeking an incentive, should say, do you have any patents going to expire anytime soon so we can get a sense of what your pattern is? So those are the kinds of things. When a business decides, for one reason or another, to shrink or consolidate or move, they go.
Not to get too biblical, but of course that line to give to Caesar what is Caesar, and you at least like to hope that everything that's going to Caesar is equal. Is that part of what you're trying to say here? We're all like paying, let's make sure we all pay it fairly.
Well, that's right, and then make sure that we pay it for the things that are important. Again, a state budget that increases tax breaks for businesses while it's cutting spending on colleges, cutting spending on transportation is not a real smart way to build the future. We need to have a strong economy in New Jersey. There's no question about that, and government has to play a role. But we're trying to argue that it's better for the taxpayers and for everybody in the long run if that role is to invest in the things that really build a strong economy down the road.
But let's be realistic, Jon. Like Toronto, Canada, it's a place that's friendly to make movies. Where are movies going to be made? They're going to go to Toronto, Canada for tax incentives. So is there a fine balance you have to say that, or you say, you know what, throw that all out the window?
I think we have to have more accountability. We have to make sure that this is an open process, that people know what's being asked for and what's being given, and that companies are required to tell the truth and really talk about what their plans are before they get money from the taxpayers.
And you really aren't just the tax man, are you? Do you really just want to see taxes go up?
I want to see the taxpayers get their money's worth and New Jersey be a strong, prosperous state.
Is that something about investment? What do you mean by that?
Absolutely. The government has a role to play. Everybody has a role to play to make sure that we spend money the best way, the wisest ways. And in New Jersey, just writing checks to businesses is a short-sighted way. It's a shortcut way to try to build an economy, and it's not working.
You know why we can go into a whole other topic, and that is that the good public may be wondering if that money that's being invested is going to go in the right places. But that's a whole other topic.
That's an issue, too.
Yeah, and we'll talk about it in the future.
Right.
Knowing you, Jon, it's always great to have you with us. He is Jon Shure, the president of the New Jersey Policy Perspective. That's a liberal think tank in the great Garden State. I'm Joe Bisicchia. This has been Comcast Newsmakers, seen exclusively right here on Comcast. If you'd like to reach out to us, we're at cn8.tv.